Hello everyone. I wanted to take a minute and talk about our exercise that we're working on for theory in Chapter 1. We'll call this a little theoretical minute. I've asked you to use Table 1-1 and to describe the difference between rational and non-rational and individual versus collective reasoning for why you are reading the textbook and why you're taking the class. To clarify, I'd like to bring a few more examples of this continuum, and it's sort of, you could call it like, an XY axis almost, theoretical one. And it'll be a perspective that will help you to organize your thoughts throughout this class. First of all, what does rational versus non-rational mean? These words have a little bit of a different meaning and a little more precise meaning than we would be given to use in everyday conversation. When sociologists or social theorists are talking about rational or rationality, it's more than just the idea that something makes sense or it's reasonable. It has a specific meaning. Rational or rationality has to do with means to an end. What does that mean? You often hear sociologists talk about means and rationality. So what this means, how can we define this? A means and rationality. A means is what you do to accomplish a particular goal or an end. An end is another word for a goal. And the end is the goal itself. For example, the means end, if you're approaching a rational reason for studying for a test as an individual, it's because the goal is to get a good grade on the test, and the rational means to that is to study. Okay, I'm going to study. Okay, non-rational, on the other hand, does not mean the same thing as irrational. Irrational is a word that in common everyday usage means unreasonable or crazy or just off the grid or doesn't make any sense. That's not what we're talking about when we're talking about non-rationality. Non-rationality merely means that it is not specifically and directly tied to a means and scheme. A non-rational reason for studying for the test, it might be, yes, you want to get a good grade, but you want to do right by your family, or you want to make your spouse proud, or you want to feel good about yourself by seeing if you can do it or not. Those are sort of extra rational. I mean, it's not directly tied into this kind of means and rationality schema. Okay, so that's the individual version of this. There are collective versions too, for rational and non-rational reasons for actions that you can apply. If you're taking this course, for example, the non-rational reason for your having to take it, being required to take it, and you're taking it because you're required to, is that the university has to maintain a certain level of prestige or status. The rational reason is that sociology programs pretty much the world over have determined that in order to be effective, that we need to have theory courses. So hopefully this will ground you a little bit more in what we're talking about in terms of rational versus non-rational and individual versus collective. Please take a minute and look at the diagram and look at the theorists and the explanation that Scott Appleroot gives you in this chapter for, he's the author of the textbook, for this kind of continuum or this quadrant of theory. It's a quadrant that if you learn it now, it's going to help you to make sense of the material basically throughout the rest of the textbook. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll have another theoretical minute up soon for Karl Marx in Chapter 2.